Hey guys, it's me, CB, and this is the final whistle.
Hello and welcome back to the Final Whistle, brought to you by the Rugby Connection podcast. Well, what a year it's been for women's rugby, and it is just getting bigger and bigger. We're back in my home country with one of the most popular players in the game. It's CB, Christine Belisle. CB, thank you so much for coming on. How are you getting on?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm really good. Back in Loughborough now, starting preseason stuff. So it's spicy, but it's good to be back into routine.
Have you done a Bronco yet?
No, that's a couple weeks from now. Yeah. So it's just like getting reintroduced to actual running, some contact stuff, all that stuff. Which is nice because obviously if your first day of preseason was running a Bronco, I think I would cry. So it's nice to have time to mentally prepare.
No, that's good. That's good. First question that we ask all our guests, just to get the ball rolling a little bit. What actually got you into rugby in the first place?
So I started playing rugby because my grade 10 class, like I had rugby at high school. And so the class was doing a tour to Ireland. And so when you first get into high school, that's grade 9. I didn't play right away because I used to be super shy, didn't want to play team sports, was like super kind of self-conscious because I was also very competitive, but I didn't kind of realize those two things were one and the same. But I did know that I wanted to go to Ireland with my friends. So that's honestly what got me started, was knowing that I got to go on a really cool trip with my friends. And then I just fell in love with the sport, and the rest is history.
There we go. I love that as a reason. Just I want this trip with my friends, and for me to have to play the sport, then fine.
I guess I'll do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for people that aren't aware of your career or who you are, they are obviously picking up an accent.
Not my thick Scottish accent that I've acquired.
Very common Scottish accent, yes.
Yeah.
Just explain to some people how you playing for Scotland came about, because you are from Canada.
Yeah. So I grew up in Canada, and then I moved to the UK. I moved to Glasgow. It'll be 8 years ago in August. Yeah. So I was still young. I think, how old would I have been? Like 22, just turned 22. And I spent my first year in the UK just working in restaurants. I had played rugby through high school, and for the 1 year that I had gone to university, and then I was living in places in like Western, like the west side of Canada, that didn't have any rugby for me because I was living like in the mountains. And so I took a few years off. When I moved to the UK, I was still just focused on kind of like working and living. And then I realized that I needed to kind of broaden my horizons. So I started playing for Cartha in Glasgow. And one of the men's coaches there, Thomas Davidson, he was like, we should see whether or not you're eligible to like play for Scotland, because I guess he saw that I was a decent enough athlete, could definitely be developed in my skills for sure. But he was like, listen, if we don't ask the question, we don't know. Is that something that you're interested in? And I was like, yeah, I mean, like the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say, no, sorry, like this can't work. But if we ask and we know, then we might as well try. So I am eligible to play for Scotland through residency because I had lived in Scotland. At the time, it was just 3 years. I think it's 5 now, but because I had moved just to live and work. I didn't come to be a student. I didn't come for anything else. I qualified as a resident. And so that's, how I get to play, which is really cool, especially because now I get a lot of questions like, wouldn't you want to play for Canada? Wouldn't you want to do this? And like, I am obviously like super fortunate to have grown up where I did, but for me, Scotland is home. So to represent Scotland it means the world to me for sure.
I love that. That was actually my next question. What does it mean to you to don the thistle?
Yeah, it's incredible. I remember even in the meeting that we had, because when you have to like essentially qualify to play for Scotland, you still have to have like meetings with higher ups, and they ask you all of these questions, right? They want to basically fact check that like you want to play because you want to represent Scotland, not just like for clout sort of thing, right? So, and that was one of the questions, like, what would it mean to you to sing Flower of Scotland? Like, how would that make you feel? And I remember almost crying in their office, like, because it does mean the world. Like, I think even the first experiences that I had in camp and getting to know the girls and everything, like, I immediately felt like one of them, there was never that divide. So, and that's always what like rugby has given me, but to feel that at such a higher level, a higher competitive level, to just immediately kind of feel as part of it was super special. And then to be able to obviously represent the country that I have been able to choose as home it blows my mind. So it's very, very special to me.
Good. I could feel your passion. I love how passionate you are about this. Just for a bit of fun, is there anyone from the current Canadian squad that you would draft in? If you could.
There's quite a few, like obviously playing at Lightning, I play with a few Canadians as well. So like Sarah Svoboda is a monster. She plays in the back row. She's one of those girls that like you'll be playing like a touch drill in training, and she didn't hear that it was just touch, and she's like emptying you, you know what I mean? But I admire her in everything she does, because like whether she's starting or if she comes off the bench, like she brings this like energy and like ferocity that like you just can't teach. You either have it or you don't. And so she's an incredible athlete, and she's just a really fun girl to be around. And I think the other one that like really stands out to me is a girl that I played with last year, also at Lightning. She's gone back to Canada. Her name's Courtney Holtkamp. She's a monster. She's like 6 foot something and just built. Like she is an incredible athlete. She is so strong. Like I loved being around her in the gym, because like she's what I aspire to be in terms of just how brute strength. It's not like farmer strength, and so just like watching her lift, but then like watching when that transfers over into her just like running through people on the pitch, you're like, I was always very thankful to be on her team, not against her, because there were a few times in training where like we would be on opposite teams, and there is video footage of her literally just running me over and me being like, yeah, that's fine.
Love that. Yeah, because there's a big difference between gym strong and country strong.
Oh my, yeah, farmer strength is a different gravy. Like you can't,
100%. It helps when you like can flip a cow when you're like 6 years old, but yeah.
Legit. Yeah. These are special skills that you acquire. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. What is so special about like Loughborough Lightning? Because there is a lot of Scottish internationals, including yourself, that are based at the club. Just to name a few, yourself, Emma Wassell, Rachel Malcolm, Chloe Rowley's there. Mm-hmm. There's probably tons I'm missing, but
Helen Nelson, I live with her.
Helen Nelson's there as well. Yeah.
There's a lot of us. No, I don't know what it is. Like, obviously for me, it was the opportunity that I needed to play in the Prem 15s. But I've decided to stay because of the people that I get to play with. And that's not just Scottish players as well. Like I remember first coming down here kind of expecting that I maybe wouldn't vibe as much with some of the other girls, because when you're playing against England and you are Scottish, like there's always that. Unfortunately, they're all the nicest people that you'll ever meet. So what I had anticipated was not what happened at all. And some of the English girls like are some of my closest friends now as well. So being able to play alongside really good humans and incredible athletes, like that's what's kept me here. And I think a lot of the reason why we have stayed, like the majority of girls at Lightning have stayed, is because we want to play with each other. Like we've created a really good culture, and that can be difficult to come by sometimes, like with people coming and going and, changes in coaching. And it, like when you're playing a competitive sport, it's not always best friends forever, and that is what it is. And to like say that we have the best days every day is definitely not true. But for the most part, like we have this level of mutual like respect, but also we are working towards a common goal and we just enjoy each other's company. So it makes it a lot easier to continue to show up for yourself and for each other.
Good. Well, all the reasons you've said there.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you mentioned Prem 15s. Obviously, it's now changed to Women's Premiership Rugby.
Yeah.
And the WXV's coming round very, very soon as well. How excited are you for this new format, these new changes that are coming to the game, and being a focus point on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think first, like, my main focus is WXV. Like, I'm personally really excited about it because we're going back to Cape Town. That's where I got my first cap for Scotland as well. So it'll be cool to go back in a completely different place than I started. You know, like, I remember my first cap. I don't actually remember it really. Like, I talk about this sometimes. Like, I was so unbelievably nervous that I hardly remember a lot of it because it was like so adrenaline packed. So, you know what I mean? So to be able to go back and feel like I'm in a completely different space, different position, different everything, like, I'm really excited for that. And I think it's going to be really cool because we're playing different teams than we normally would, you know, like, obviously it's incredible to play Six Nations every year, and you never really know what's going to happen with those teams, like how other teams are developing or whatever, but it's exciting to have opportunity to play a different handful of teams, like some that we've kind of played before, but just with how seasons come and go, like, they aren't teams that we play every year. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And then obviously being able to then come back into the Prem and see what that looks like with different player movements, stuff like that, different coaching, different teams in as well, like, especially with like the 2 new teams that are in and new girls that have come into the Prem for the first time. Like, obviously a lot of like our young team at Scotland are now coming into the Prem, which is super exciting. So I'm like looking forward to seeing them develop as well. You know, it's cool because as like one of like the older girls, it's such a weird place to be because, like, obviously I want to play forever, and by no means am I even considering hanging up my boots anytime soon, but it also is like cool to have this different kind of view that I hadn't had previously, where I kind of see the younger girls and I am like excited to see how they develop and bring the game forward as well, you know? So it's a lot to be excited about. There's so many things that are going to happen in the next few months that, yeah, just got to focus on like one thing first, and that's getting over preseason.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we have got some other questions as well from a co-host of mine, and we've got some fan questions as well. Actually, I've got one more before I go into that. Sorry.
Okay.
Who is your dream front row partners, both past and present? You can pick, and don't even have to have played with them. Could be anyone in World Rugby. Who's your loose head? Who's your hooker?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I've never thought about that before. I mean, I think it would be quite cool to scrummage with like the Canadian front row because I think that they're incredible. Yeah. I've also scrummaged against them and I know how strong they are. But like, I also love the team that I'm with all the time. You know, you like get into that groove with each other. You know how each other works. Like, so I don't know. It would be difficult to pick without
hurting anyone.
Giving it a harder, it's giving it a harder thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So like Emily Tututsi or Lana Skeldon.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna pick, like, because Lana and I have a thing, like a good teamwork thing going, you know, like her and I scrummage really well like together. So we've kind of figured out what works best for us. But like, yeah, I think it would just be cool to have a feel of what it's like to scrummage with girls that you've scrummaged against, because like, you know, kind of what they do and how strong they are or whatever. And so it'd be cool to be on the other side of it because like it's nice to be in a positive position.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a very PR answer, but well,
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings either, do I? So
don't worry about that. So the next few questions are from Jemma, my co-host. She's asked, what is your max deadlift?
So it depends. I think the most I ever deadlifted, like we've not tested my max in a while. Okay. But the most my PB for deadlift was, I think, like 2 Christmases ago, and I think it was like 155, but I don't know what it would be now because I've not tested it for ages. And like I think I was like 5 kilos lighter then as well. So I don't know if I could move more or less. Like I reckon I could probably move more. Like I was deadlifting last week and it felt really good. So I'm going to try to see if my S&C will let me do a test of a 1 rep max. by the end of preseason just to see. But yeah, that was like the most that I had done.
Okay. Are you still going to her hen party?
Her hen party.
Yeah, her hen do. Yeah, for the wedding, before her wedding. Yeah. I think she tagged you in something on Instagram.
Oh, lol.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was like, yeah, oh my God, yeah, that was so funny. When she said that, I would be a good company. To be fair, that would be fun. I do love a hen do. However, probably not, because I've already turned down 2 other hen do's. I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow. I know it's difficult, but like after our off season finished, and I got to enjoy myself, I'm really trying to like put everything into this preseason so I can feel as prepared as possible.
I don't think it's until next year, though.
Is it not? Well, then we can cross those bridges when we come to them.
I don't know.
If she sends me an actual invite in the mail and I have the date and time and place,
there we go. There we go.
there is an offer there. I mean, you never say never.
I mean, I need to ask half the team if you're coming to my wedding, which is next year. So, because I'm
exactly, yeah, date and time and place.
I can give you it now if you want. Yeah. We've got the venue and all that set. So
yeah.
If you had to be locked in a room with anyone from the Scotland team, who would you want and why? That's Gemma's last question.
Probably Mary McDonald. Wee Maz. And I say that because we basically already did that when the World Cup finished, when we were finished there. Her and I traveled around New Zealand in a van together for several weeks following. So I would say Maz, because I know that we were able to survive that. So I reckon we could probably survive a room together as well. Do you know, like, because we went through a lot we almost ran out of petrol. We were in the, like, because we had a couple different vans along the way. So one of them was like an actual, like, you could stand up in it and move around. It felt more like an actual little home. Whereas one of them was like a tiny little like SUV where like you couldn't even sit upright. So we went through it and we survived, and we never fought. So I think that she would be the best person for that, because I've had experience in a similar situation with her.
That's a good answer, and a very good reason as well.
Yeah.
Love that. We've got a fan question. It's from Ellie Brown. She's asked, if you had to play a different position on the pitch, where would it be and why?
So I always joke all the time about being 9, but I actually would never want to play 9 because it's so, I admire how much running around those girls do, you know? But probably like playing back in the centers would be fun. Like that's where I started my rugby career. It's like a fun place to run through people. You can make good decisions. You're under more stress in defense, which is like obviously scary, but also fun. Like if you like hitting people, then that's a good place to be as well, you know? And when you've been given the right tools in training, then you feel more confident in those things. So you just get to kind of go out and enjoy the game. But yeah, I think like playing in the centers would be fun again.
There we go.
Yeah, we'll stick with that.
And I mean, your initials are CB, so crash ball works.
Exactly. Yeah. It's in my destiny.
Okay, absolutely. Now I've been asked to mention 2 things, and it's from a teammate of yours.
Oh.
But you know me from away from this, so you know I've spoke to a few of your teammates. So
yeah.
I'm going to say them, and then I want you to guess who told me it.
Oh God. Okay.
I have to ask you, how many reps are in a Bronco?
So that would have been from Louise McMillan or maybe Lana Skeldon.
It's Lana Skeldon.
Yeah. Yeah. There are 5, but if you want to run extras like I did last year, it's
no,
yeah.
I had it in my head when Lana messaged me that you did less.
No, I did more. It was awful. I finished last, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like I felt like I was running a good pace, and then because like we video it as well.
Yeah.
And I did 6 full reps, but I had spoke about that on my Instagram the other day, and someone messaged me with a really good tip, and I'm definitely going to use it, and I'll share it here. She said that one of her friends told her to run with 5 scrunchies on your wrist, and every time you finish a full rep, you drop one, so that when you only have one left, you know you're on the last rep. Like that's so smart, because when you're running a Bronco, the last thing you want to be thinking about is anything. Like you're just trying to survive that thing, right? So yeah, I will definitely be using that, because that was like the most simplest thing that you could ever think of. So good.
I don't know what I would do. I don't have scrunchies, but
You'll have to you acquire scrunchies solely for the Bronco.
Or like wristbands or elastic bands.
Legit, anything.
That works. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
I like that. It's quite good. That makes perfect sense. I don't know why.
Right? I know.
Everyone should do that. That should be mandatory.
I agree. Yeah.
Professional grassroots, get your elastic bands, run a Bronco. There you go.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
The simplest way to keep track.
Absolutely. So you've already guessed who's put the questions in. They were both from Anna. I have to ask you about the whale seeing trip in New Zealand.
Yeah, so we went whale watching on one of our days off. We didn't see any whales, but we were all almost very sick on the boat. It was like this day, we were on this like kind of like pontoon boat almost. So it wasn't like a speedboat. It did not deal with like the waves well. It wasn't a really nice day out. They had told us like we might see something. I mean, you go whale watching, you never know if you're going to see anything or not, right? And we were all super optimistic. We saw a stingray getting onto the boat, and that was the only thing that we saw all day. And like, oh, it was rough. Like our manager was on the boat with us. She thought that we were going to capsize. Like it was a rough day. We all came back like white in the face, fully scarred from the day. Some people were violently sick off the side of the boat. Thankfully I wasn't, but I almost wish that I had been, because you know that way when you feel so sick, you're like, that would actually make me feel better, but I just couldn't. Oh, it was rough going. But then thankfully when Maz and I were traveling around afterwards, we went to Kaikoura, which is like in the South Island, and we actually did see a sperm whale. We went whale watching. That was like what we did for my birthday. And we got to see a sperm whale and like hundreds of dolphins. So that definitely made up for it. But that day was rough going. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
No,
I'm guessing it was like very choppy seas and
yeah, it was like when we were going and boating, it was fine, but then they had stopped the boat because it was just us on it. Like our manager had booked it out. There was maybe like 20 of us. And so they had stopped the boat because they wanted to show us one of like the little islands that had all these birds on it, whatever. And as soon as they stopped the boat and you could like feel it like rocking, that's when everyone was just like, you could see people like gripping on, white in the face. Yeah, it got a little bit less fun after that, but we managed to survive, which is good.
So who was the worst one? We'll just name and shame now. Go for it.
Honestly, probably our media man, Angus. He was sick a couple times, I think. But yeah, there were quite a few sick kids, unfortunately.
Dear. I mean, that doesn't sound fun at all. I'm pretty sure there's actually clips of it. I'm sure Scottish Rugby put it up on
It's
YouTube
possible. I've just tried to block it out of my memory at this point, so I don't go looking for any of the
Completely understandable. I understand why.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to something a bit different now. We're getting to know CB as a person, away from the rugby player. So, cats or dogs?
Dogs. I have a dog. Her name is Honey, so always dogs.
Any specific breed of dog or just all dogs?
I think all dogs. Like Honey is a staffy, like American Bulldog cross. So she's got like the cute little face. She looks like a little seal. Like she's so good. But love a golden retriever, love a chocolate lab. My parents have this little pug who is an idiot, but I love her. You know, she just is like a little tater tot, you know. So I love her. I don't know. All dogs are the best. So
yeah. Favorite film?
So I'm actually not much of a film watcher. So I know I'm more of like a TV series kind of gal. So favorite film is difficult. I do love all of like the Dark Knight kind of trilogy. Yeah. That was probably my favorite for a while. Alternatively, I also love the movie Elf. So yeah. Or the Grinch. Also, I know like both Christmas classics, but like I feel like I like the Grinch a lot because I really identify with the Grinch sometimes, you know. I can be a really nice person, but I can also really feel how the Grinch feels sometimes.
Yeah, I think there was a joke about that on Facebook. It was like the Grinch just wanted to be left alone with his dog and all that. He's like, I get it now. I'm like, yeah.
Totally.
Totally relatable. So what TV show or Netflix series or whatever do you recommend to binge watch?
So I am an American Office kind of gal. I have seen that TV series probably like 7 times through, and I will continue to watch it. It's like that comfort show that you can now have in the background. It just exists as part of my life. And like, if you've seen it enough, there are things about it that like literally can apply to any part of your day, which I think is quite funny. Yeah, also Parks and Rec, really good. Yeah, very funny. Schitt's Creek. Those are probably classic for me.
I've tried Schitt's Creek, but
You have to give a little bit of time. To be fair, it's kind of the same as the American Office. Like the beginning you have to just persevere, but like character development is really good, and it becomes a very, very good show.
Now, do you watch Still Game? Or have you watched it?
Not consistently, but I have seen some episodes of it. I know. I feel, yeah. I know.
That's part of residency rules.
Yeah. No one told me, so I'll work on it. I can work on it. That's an easy takeaway.
Fair enough. No, I think I quote Still Game on a day-to-day basis, just with my friends, with the family. Like what you do with the American Office, it's part of life now. If you're feeling ill, you put on Still Game. You're tired, Still Game. Nothing else on, Still. It ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I can get on board with that. I just need to give it some time.
Would you rather have a film or a TV show about you? It leads to the next question. It's just because I know you're not a big film person. So would you?
Yeah, it would probably be TV show, because I think you then have more opportunity for growth. You've got more time when you have a series versus like a 2-hour movie.
Okay, that's fine. So who would you have play CB in the series?
Who would I have play me? That's a good question. I would like to say someone like Phoebe Bridgers-Walls. Is that her last name? Phoebe Bridgers-Walls? I can't remember if that's her last name. She plays Fleabag in Fleabag. She's like a British comedian, wrote the series. I just think she's like brilliant, and I would be honored for her to even be a part of like writing for it as well. That'd be quite cool.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Favorite song or music genre?
That depends. So I've been listening to a lot of country recently. But I also was recently just in Cologne in Germany to see the Black Keys.
Okay.
So it ranges. I kind of go through like hyper fixations with songs and like genres. So yeah, I don't think I have like one particular favorite of all time. It's just sort of like, I'll have one song that I'll probably play like 4 times a day for 3 weeks, and then I won't listen to it again for like 3 months, and like goes in cycles of that. Like leading up to the Black Keys concert, I hadn't listened to them for probably almost a year, went to go see them, and now they're playing constantly for the next bit. And then, yeah.
That's fair. That works. I'm kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes and goes, and then you get fed up of a song and
exactly
completely stop listening to it altogether. So,
and then you hear it again a few months later, and you're like, "Oh my god, I forgot how good this song is." And then the cycle starts again. Yeah.
There's a page on TikTok that keeps coming up. It's like remembering nostalgia or something, and it's like all 2000s hits. I'm like, oh,
yeah, some absolute bangers. Yeah.
Favorite style of food or food cuisine?
I love Mexican food. Like, yeah, I really do love like authentic Mexican food. But I've also, my TikTok is filled with a lot of different food as well, like different styles. I follow this one girl, I should know her name, but she was on like one of those like chef shows or whatever, and now she just like shows what she makes in her own kitchen, and it's a lot of like just like different Asian foods, and it all looks so good. So I've been trying to replicate some of those things. Not as good, but I'm learning. So yeah. That's good. I've never really met a food I didn't like. So there's that.
Fair enough. Your go-to pizza topping?
This is controversial, but I do love just a classic pepperoni.
Oh, that's fine.
Pepperoni, but then sometimes like if you have like a spicy pepperoni with like a hot honey or something on top, if you want to
Okay.
get like bougie, but I'm also
Yeah.
really happy with just like a classic pepperoni cheese.
Cool. No, that's not controversial.
Well, sometimes people are like expect, like all these extra toppings, but like why mess with the goods? If it's good pizza, even like a really good margarita, you can't go wrong with bread and cheese, So
True, yeah. No, when you said controversial, I thought you were going to say pineapple belongs on pizza.
nah, pineapple does not belong on pizza. So
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you, CB.
Yeah.
Now, after a big win, you and the girls are out in the town. What are you drinking?
Probably first a pint of Guinness will be my go-to. Yeah. I maybe will have 2 of those. And then after that, it just depends on how I feel. But my go-to after every match is a pint of Guinness. Iron, delicious,
Yeah.
like a mini meal. Be rude not. Yeah.
Now, can you split the G?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I've been practicing for years.
Now, there's a new challenge. It was actually my partner's friend that asked me to do it when we were on a night out. So it's the same idea.
Yeah.
But instead of splitting the G, you're splitting the letters in the harp.
Okay.
Like the white will be on the harp, and that's
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay. I could
But
try.
I've done. I've
Yeah.
done it.
Have you? Yeah.
Totally, yeah. Without even even thinking about it, just like bang, and then
It's a natural. Yeah.
there we go. Happy days.
Yeah.
Now, do you like Iron Brew?
Yeah, I love Iron Brew. I did do the Iron Brew challenge.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw that. Scotland asked me to do it alongside like Rachel McLaughlin and Jade, and I absolutely butchered it. But I didn't know the trick about the different like fizzy, that kind of stuff. Like, because I wouldn't say that I drink it that frequently because
Okay.
I don't really drink that much fizzy juice, but I do like it. Yeah.
I want to try the challenge, but I feel like I'd make a mess of it as well.
Well, you don't know until you try.
Well, maybe next week or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
Never say never. Hobbies away from rugby.
That's a tough one because I feel like my whole personality is rugby. I do really like hill walking. I've got a van that kind of converts into like a mini camper.
Nice.
So I'm actually hoping to go away next week in it. But like last year I did the Outer Hebrides, I've been to Mull in it, up to Glencoe. Like, so I like to just like be outside. I don't know if that's necessarily a hobby, but like getting outside, lots of big walks, that kind of stuff I really enjoy because I find it's just peaceful and easy to do. You get to see a lot of stuff. I really like to travel. I like to go on solo trips as well. Yeah, I went on my first one last year and that kind of made me realize like how easy it is to just go by yourself. I like to that because then you're not really like responsible for anybody else. Like I went on a girls trip a few weeks ago in our off season and that was so much fun, but it's so different from when you're traveling by yourself because it's just your own agenda. You don't really have to consider anything other than what you want to do, what you want to see that day. If you want to have a nap, like anything that you're doing doesn't impact anybody else's holiday. So I like both things, but I do really enjoy that kind of alone time. It was really nice for me.
So where is your dream holiday destination?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love Italy. I've been there a few times now and I love it. I think like the people are incredible because like they are obviously a very proud nation, which I respect. Their food is like everything they do, they are proud of. You're not going to get anything bad quality there.
Mhm.
Even if you go into a pizza place that you think looks a little bit like dingy or whatever, it's still like probably the best pizza you're ever going to eat, like because they're so proud of the things that they produce. So yeah, I do love Italy, but I would love to go back to New Zealand and just sort of more of those like Pacific Islands. Like I would love to visit Fiji as well. I think there's just so much like culture to see and appreciate that I would love to learn about as well. So being able to go back and yeah, just like learn and see would be my dream for sure.
Cool, I like that. This one might cause controversy. Depends on how you answer it.
Okay.
See how good your PR training is for this one. Scotland winning the Six Nations
Yeah.
or Loughborough winning the Prem?
Scotland winning Six Nations.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah. Easy. That's an easy answer. It feels, I mean, obviously like winning in Loughborough colours feels good, but nothing feels better than winning for Scotland.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
No, because there's people that now prefer like club over country. I'm like, no, country is the pinnacle.
Yeah, it is. It is like there's nothing better because the teams that you're playing are the best of the best. Like when you look
Absolutely.
at selection, if you are winning against another international team, like you like to imagine that the team that's been selected to represent their country is the best that they can. So winning those games, it's not just a handout. You have to work for every part of that for the full 80, so those feel really good.
So if you could draft in anyone, just one player from any other Six Nations team to don the famous thistle, who would you pick?
Probably Sadia Kabea. She plays for England. She's back row. I play with her at Lightning. And because I hate playing against her. She's a beast. She's
fair,
very Sarah Svoboda-esque, like how I was speaking about before. She just puts her head in dark places, chops everybody, is a workhorse, like, and also just like goes about her business. You know what I mean? Like, I just have a lot of respect for her and what she does, especially for how young she is. She's got a really good head on her shoulders and she just gets the job done. So I love playing with her at club. And if I got to play with her in Scotland colours as well, it means that I don't have to play against her, which is ideal. Yeah.
But do we need another back rower?
No, we don't. We definitely don't. But maybe we can like find a way we get like a few extra forwards on the pitch. We play with 18 aside and we just see what happens.
18 aside rugby just to get everyone in.
Give everybody a shot. Yeah.
Final question for you today, CB. One thing you'd like to be remembered for?
Ooh, that's a good question. Hopefully for like being a positive influence, like through my life and through my business and through how I play. I hope that I provide like good vibes. I love being a hype man for other people. So I hope that I can be remembered for being a positive influence, for making people feel good. That would be really nice.
I love that. I mean, you always make everyone feel good from what I've seen, from what I've heard. Even when we spoke after games or after the open training sessions, you're always very bubbly. I've seen the sessions you do. I would not want to speak to anyone. And the thing I love now about women's rugby especially is you see little girls that are like 5, 6 years old. Their favourite player isn't Finn Russell, it's not Stuart Hogg, it's not Darcy Graham, it's Christine Belisle, it's Jade Conkle-Roberts, it's Chloe Rowley, it's Helen Nelson, Rona Lloyd.
Yeah, that's so special. Like to be able to see that, like to have the reach that we do now, we don't take that lightly. We are very, very aware that there are little eyeballs on us and it comes with responsibility, but it's such a privilege, and so to be able to positively impact those young girls and hopefully get them involved in rugby, and it changes your life, to be able to see what you're capable of outside of what your body looks like is massive, especially for young girls and adult women. Like it's huge. So like we don't take that responsibility lightly. And now being able to show that like through hard work and just like consistently showing up for yourself and your teammates, you have an opportunity for this to be your job. Like if you had asked me when I was 15 where I thought I would be when I'd be turning 30, I would never have thought that my full-time job, like how I'm paying my bills, is playing rugby. Like I often have to remind myself how insane that is. It's crazy because it's just my norm now. You often forget this is not something that everybody gets to do, and I'm so fortunate to do it. And so to be able to have that privilege, it also means like you've got to put your best foot forward because there are you have to show up for yourself and for the young girls who are looking at you. You know, you want to be able to inspire them to want to do what you do, because it's the coolest job in the world.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'll end it on that high, because I don't think we can top that. Thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to come on after. I tried to think how long we've tried to get this sorted, but it's definitely worth it all in the end. Good luck in pre-season and obviously in WXV when it comes round. Don't do 6 reps on a Bronco.
I will not be. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Remember your wristbands and go. But yeah, thank you so much. This has been the final whistle with Christine Belisle. We will see you next time.